Hi, I would like to welcome Lu Gao, artist, originally from China, living in New York, working as a communication coordinator at Arts, Letters, and Numbers, and also a Zen Buddhism practitioner. And I'd like to ask you, Lu, to start. And you have a couple events coming up this summer, so I'd like you to describe them first.
Hi, thank you, Mariah, for inviting me. I'm really flattered to be here. And yes, I would like to share a few events coming up. Uh, there will be a performance by Chinese artist He Yunchang. People usually call him Art Chang. He is one of the leading figure of performance art in China. He used his body as a material to talk about human relationship with the nature and with the current global conflicts. And it's very powerful work. And he do one work once a year. And this year, I'm honored to curate this performance, which gonna take place in Arts and Letters and Numbers in upstate New York. We will have 11 musicians playing violin in this performance. Yeah, if you have time, it's really something you won't want to miss out.
And then also, you had something later this summer in Brooklyn.
Yeah, in Brooklyn, it will be me and artist Wei. We will do a performance about drawing shadows, like tracing shadows of each other. It's like an interactive performance. We done twice, once in Black Brick Projects in New York City, and the second time is in a Korean monastery in Catskill. Yeah, every time very different setting, but it's about be present with each other and recognize the existence of each other instead of the concept and the opinions.
I,
Oh, by the way, it's in the place called Forecast Space in Greenpoint,
okay.
August 21st.
Thank you. I would like to be there. And so I have some questions about, or I sent you the questions. I wondered if any of them particularly had interest for you in talking about.
For me, it's really important because I'm not making art for become an artist, but making art for become more human, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So all these questions, I think a lot in this journey of being an artist, and I also have many like confusion and the moment of uncertainty, like, but it's always like this motivation of I'm a human first, then I'm another role, like artist or another social role I play.
Well, maybe I'll just jump right to it. We met a year ago about when you were a student and doing photography-based work that I thought was very poetic and very much about a nuanced and sophisticated looking at the world.
Mhm.
And then I found out later that you were a practitioner of Zen Buddhism and would go to retreats. And I have long personally been curious about the similarity between meditative practice and developing the eye of photographer's eye of really looking at the world and not seeing just through a framework of what you need to know from the world, but you see the shadow and the weird little thing in the frame that maybe, if you're doing a studio photograph, you don't want the little errors, but when you're out in the world, it's doing photography in the street, then you notice all these things that aren't just something you want to be there or to capture.
Mm.
That maybe, anyhow, I just was curious about this overall and curious about your thoughts.
Yeah, I think I went through a big shift of perspective of creation. I studied architecture in my undergrad in China. Um, And I after that I reside in a monastery for 2 years in China, Hunan province. It is a bamboo forest, very beautiful. And yeah, I think that really changed my life and my way of looking and creating in general. It was COVID. Like if it was not COVID, I might jump right into the grad school. Like as planned, I already have the visa and everything. I have that huge disappointment when I realized I cannot go. Um, and also like I graduate in 2020, which is the first year of COVID. So we do all our thesis at home and have a virtual exhibition. And all this just make me feel so unreal. Like nothing is real, nothing like you can grab onto. Like everything was so certain, like how the world being function. I suppose it will function like this forever, but it's not. It's the COVID make everything stop. And I had a medical emergency right after graduation because I partied too much and worked too much in undergrad, like stay up 5 nights straight, just
Wow.
doing projects and having party. Yeah, and I fucked up my body. Obviously, like when you're young, you think you just have this body forever. Like it's always have enough energy, but the reality is it's not. So while lying in a hospital, like I like this confrontation of death. I mean, it's not directly, but this feeling like my body is not permanent and also everything is not permanent really driven me to this question of meaning of everything and who am I and what I'm actually doing. Even I think I'm very sure about what I'm gonna do, but now like everything is just in the air. And I went to this monastery for a vacation after went through surgery, broke up with a 5 year relationship, virtual graduation. Yeah, and I went there and somehow I stayed and I just have a lot of time stay in the nature by myself beside the meditation. Um, I just staring at water all the time, like the same pond. Um, I go there, just stay there 3 hours sometimes, sometimes half hour. And sometimes I have a camera with me. Sometimes I have a watercolor with me. Sometimes I have nothing. I'm just looking. And more I look, more I kind of realize this water, this pond, I thought I know it, but I don't. Like every time it's different. It's never same. The pattern, the wind, the color, and also of course myself, my mind is constantly changing. And I think all the concept of my art is born from that experience.
And then when did you study photography?
I studied photography. First time was in Oslo, in Norway, when I did half year exchange. There is a photography elective. The teacher really challenged my understanding of photography. Like it's not a way only to uh, capture objects, but a way to looking internally to observe as a human how we look at things. Yeah, I think this change of looking outwards, like being pushing by outward, like what others people are doing, and then I follow, like learning all the social manners or learning the aesthetics, learning the artistic skills, learning other cultures. And in that half year after all this Western culture shock in Oslo, I start like looking backwards, looking inwards, looking at myself. And that's why I interest in photography. So it's like a tool of deconstruct this habitual knowledge of the world and myself.
Oh, that's a very interesting way to put it. And then, how did it feel to live in New York City and be taking pictures out around in the urban environment?
It's really a shock because I kind of jumped from the monastery environment directly into New York City. Like I had a COVID before I left Beijing, and when I landed, I'm still like dizzy, like not really functioning. And I stand in the middle of the subway, like I'm literally freaked out with all the noise and energy because the life in monastery is super simple and just you have the same schedule every day and it's very quiet. Nothing really going on that much. But that's also the reason I decided to leave monastery and come to New York City. But I realized it's like more shocking than I expected. So I definitely went through a hard time adjusting myself, also like for my work. But the good thing is because I was shocked. So everything, maybe a person live in an urban environment for a long time, they don't think it looks weird or it's not observed. But for me, like everything is so weird, so observed. All the subway, the green light bulb, and the rocks, laying on the street. I don't know. They just kind of looking at me. So I look back, and it's also the time I trying to find an anchor for myself in the city. I remember my professor asked me because my previous work is all like in the nature because I was in nature, and she's like, "Do you want me to introduce some a preserve a nature preserve park near New York City to for your work?" And I was like, I don't really need that because I want to deal with whatever I'm with at this moment. Yeah, that's why I start to walk in the city. Like gradually from walk, like I start looking, and just for me, it's to process what I've been experienced, like this change. Yeah.
I'm so curious about, I think, the creative person managing themselves and their perception and their tolerance, and what kind of experiences, like the change between a monastery situation where it's very regulated and that someone else is providing the structure for you and allows you to have calm. The switch between an environment like that and something like New York City, which is, full body, full mind problem solving experience and like harsh sensory environment and very challenging, both to like the body and the mind and the, money and everything in every way.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
curious about like a creative person's energy and how you learn to manage both the benefits of the changes, but also take care of yourself so you don't get too much of one thing and you understand how your perception responds to each environment, both maybe not to get bored or infantilized in the monastery environment because I have also spent time in those environments and they're very good, but you do give up a lot of your independent thinking.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you come back to the city, which is so challenging and draining and to like your emotions, your sensory perceptions, financially, but stimulating and challenging, but can be exhausting.
Mm.
So I'm curious as uh, your experience of going back and forth between the two, taking care of yourself and what the benefits have been, and learning to understand your as a human, what you need.
As you said, the challenge in the monastery and challenge in New York can be very different. But I would say they're always challenge, no matter where you stay. Um, and for me, like when I feel too exhausted, I run away. I allow myself to run away. I was not like that before. Like while I'm in undergrad, I just trying to not missing out everything. I try to do as much as I can and I'm not missing out, but I'm also not listening to my body, not kind of suppressing how I actually experiencing until the point I burn out and my body just shut down.
Yeah.
And now I'm not gonna do that anymore.
So I don't, without being too personal, I'm just curious about like how you know it's getting to be too much.
It's quite interesting. Like I'm taking a class, a Chinese medicine class, and it's all about getting know better about yourself. Like one of the practice is before you go to bed, put your palm on your belly button and just feel it. Feel the energy in your body because they think the abdomen is the pool of your energy, like it's the resource of the chi. So so when you put your hand on there and if you do that every day, you really can feel the difference. Like you can feel the difference. Oh, it's too full. It's feel cold, feel warm, and from there, like you can start have a basic understanding of your body situation. Also in the morning, like especially for women, our body construct in a way we have a 28 days cycle. So every morning we kind of experience very different energy and we should plan our day based on that if we can, instead of just being dragged with whatever the society asks us to do. And yes, there are many other ways, like looking at your tongue in Chinese medicine, like you can gradually have this understanding of your body more.
And hearing you say that the body is a good metric for understanding what's going on also in the mind and that they are tied together.
Yeah,
Mental overstimulation can manifest in the body.
definitely. Body and mind are not separate. Like sometimes we think they're separate, but they're not. If something revealed by your body, they're definitely related to something happening in your mind. And vice versa. If you have something in your mind, you can feel the anxiety. Like my last very important insight I got in my silent retreat, it was I know when I'm anxious, like which part of my body accumulating these emotions. It's very obvious when you're sitting for 10 minutes to feel that. It's accumulating in my arms and my jaw. And I just had such a tooth pain like for a year.
Ooh.
And I tried all kind of medicine and dentist to fix it, but all of them didn't work. But in that meditation, I suddenly realized, oh, maybe I haven't relaxed my jaw enough. Because usually I do that, but it's just not enough. I listening to the guided meditation saying relax your face, but I kind of missing out that part. And that day I just tried, and suddenly from that on, this pain disappeared. Like some of the problem is like that. If you have the right insight of it, and it will gone. But some problem we need longer time to work with it. It will coming back. Yeah.
Oh yeah, jaw clenching. I do that. And I know lots of people here who do. And a friend of mine just got Botox in their jaw because of the jaw clenching, because it can lead to other problems.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So here's a question. I don't know if you have thought about this. If you don't have an answer, it's okay. But this relationship that you're aware of between body and mind, between anxiety and other things, do you think that the positive, or do you see a relationship with artists physically make things that are ideas and non-material things in the world, express them through physical means, is the sort of the positive side of that. Thoughts and feelings that are sort of amorphous,
Mm,
not material, that artists are using their bodies, their hands, or other means to bring these non-material ideas into the material world. I don't, if you have thought about that, I'd be curious, but also if you don't think of it in that way, also curious to hear.
Yeah, I think I just think about this a lot just because when it comes to like making the work there we make a lot of choice and for the material, for the composition, for the light, whatever that is, it's still like part of the process of looking outwards to inwards. Like we are the person who doing that. We are the human body who holding the camera, who holding the brush, who making the choice. So it's really, really important to understand this, what is driven you to do that, what is this source of energy to bring out to the world, like we are the material, we are the essential material behind the canvas. Even before the blank canvas is already happening in our body, like it's just a human to navigating how to live in this world for me. Yeah, so for me, I don't have attachment to the result of my art. If it's not for gallery or not for all this purpose, I can care less like of the result. When it's done, like my journey with it is over. I mean, it can still be a medium for me to communicate with other human being. That's a fascinating point for the art. But other than that, I don't usually consider that as a product. Like that's also what I realized when I have gallery asking me to make art for sale. Like I feel like I'm in a completely different mindset of making because I kind of start to think about how they gonna hand them. What is that the perfect of the detail for them to look at? Is that professional? And all this for me is really nothing to do with what art is doing to me.
I like that. I mean, I think about a lot the inner journey and
Yeah,
outer journey.
yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like that was so profound that I hate to come back to. Does anyone say anything annoying to you?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm a kind of person, um, even I'm not look irritated or I'm not look angry, but I still feel a lot of anger or just emotions in my daily life when I interacting to people. And it's getting really strong when I didn't do morning meditation in the morning,
Mhm.
and just everything is bothering me. And if you go to the retreat, it's also really obvious the first 3 days, like everyone is angry to each other. Like you can see in the in on their face, especially when they're not like in a social setting, you still like trying to be nice. Like it's just I'm being annoyed all the time. It's also applied to when people looking at my art. It's really easy to get annoyed, but um, for me, it's also interesting practice to do to observe my annoyment. Is that a word?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I understand.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes like when I'm practicing like meditation earlier, I it's actually funny to observe myself like in that situation and like really pissing off, and at the same time the other person's ego who making that annoying comments are very obvious, and I'm kind of in a situation just laughing at this situation. You're like looking at the theater, and I also kind of keep a distance with all the comments I got from others, just in order to not be affected uh, by others' opinion too much. But at the same time, I really want to open up to make people who looking at my art feel comfortable to say what they really feel. So it's not like they will feel anxious to say something like not a compliment. And because I think I have my limitation and others have their limitation, and but we can work with it. Like we can have a buff in between, and I can later on sitting with all these comments to process what I think is it's a valuable suggestion. What is just a projection for this person's ego or what? I just don't want to waste my energy on that.
That is a great answer. Okay, bonus question. Will you please tell me again about Google spreadsheet learning?
Yeah, I kind of been forced learning how to manage spreadsheets for this organization for all the applications, also like the daily schedule, curriculum, and where people lives, like in which room, which bed, and all this. And it's fascinating. Like Google Sheet, you can use all kinds of formula to mapping out all the information you need. For example, I utilize this skill to manage all my connections, like all the curator I know, all the writer I know, all the artists I know, and I even rate them with stars, like how close I think I am with them. Like 5 star, 4 star, 3 star. If I just met them, I can give them 1 star. Especially because me and Billy are kind of person we just never think about this like in a practical career way. But now we have to apply for O1 visa. So we really need to lay out who will help us with recommendation letter. And yeah, and it's so easy. And combined with that, you can use Google, I forgot the name, but you can email with a group of people, like 500 people with customized name, like dear someone, and you have the same email. I think they're all really useful. Like when you want to get something out of the world, it's yeah. Yeah, it's a they have many formula. Thanks to ChatGPT, you can use ChatGPT to calculate, like to do the formula to calculate like how many just pull out all the email list for me, like all the writers I know, like that. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you talking about all this stuff.
Thank you. I mean, they're all important questions, make me rethink them again too.
Yeah, I love this discussion and maybe we can have another one in a year.
Yeah. See what change.